The greatest mistake is to fear making one. Elbert Hubbard. You fear making mistakes because somewhere along the way you were taught that being wrong is dangerous. Not inconvenient, dangerous. You were taught that mistakes define you, expose you, diminish you. You learned that failing means you're flawed, that slipping means you're weak, that not getting everything right the first time means you're somehow fundamentally lacking. And so now, as an adult, you hesitate before every important step. You double-check everything, then triple-check. You plan endlessly but execute rarely. You wait for the perfect moment because perfection feels safer than vulnerability. But here is the truth you avoid. You do not fear mistakes. You fear what mistakes might reveal about how you see yourself. A mistake, in your mind, is not just an event. It's a mirror. And you're terrified of what that mirror might show. You fear that it will show you're not as capable as you pretend, not as talented as you hope, not as confident as you try to appear. So you avoid trying. You avoid taking risks. You avoid being seen. You hide behind preparation, endless research, not ready yet, careful excuses and quiet dreams. You convince yourself these excuses are strategy, maturity, wisdom. But they are fear, pure fear disguised as caution. But fear is a liar. Fear exaggerates the cost of mistakes and hides the cost of avoidance. Because every time you avoid a mistake, you also avoid a chance to grow. You avoid experience. You avoid skill. You avoid the exact lessons life is trying to teach you. And the price of that avoidance is your potential. The Stoics understood this painfully well. They lived in a brutal world: war, disease, political betrayal, exile. Yet they didn't fear mistakes because they knew mistakes were the only way to sharpen judgment. They believed growth required friction, and friction always creates errors. Seneca wrote that the person who fears error fears life itself. Because life is trial and error. You cannot separate them. The person who tries nothing makes no mistakes and achieves nothing. You learn to think mistakes are humiliating. But the truth is that mistakes are neutral. They are information. They give feedback. They point precisely to where you must improve. They reveal blind spots. They teach resilience. They build courage. They make your character durable. But you rarely see them this way. You treat mistakes like personal disasters instead of natural steps. You don't analyze. You panic. You don't learn. You spiral. You don't observe. You catastrophize. You imagine consequences far worse than reality. You assume others will judge you the way you judge yourself. But the world doesn't think about you nearly as much as you think it does. Most people are too busy surviving their own insecurities to obsess over yours. Your fear of mistakes is built mostly on imaginary audiences and imaginary disasters. And while you fear mistakes, life quietly punishes you for the opportunities you don't take. Fear shrinks your world until you live in a small, safe circle where nothing challenges you and nothing transforms you. The edges of your potential remain untouched because you never stretch far enough to see them. But here's the deepest truth. The only way to become someone who doesn't fear mistakes is to teach your mind that mistakes are survivable. And the only way to teach that is through action. Uncomfortable, imperfect, messy action. Courage comes from doing, not thinking. Start before you feel ready. Move before you feel confident. Speak before you have the perfect words. Try before you have the perfect plan. Each time you act imperfectly and survive, fear weakens. Each time you fail and recover, self-trust grows. Each time you make a mistake and continue, your nervous system learns that error is not danger. You must break the illusion that mistakes are fatal. They are not. They sting, yes. They expose weaknesses, yes. They bruise ego, yes. But ego is not you. Ego is the fake shell you hide behind. Mistakes break the shell, not the person. And once the shell cracks, real growth begins. You also fear mistakes because you tie your worth to performance. You think success makes you valuable and mistakes make you unworthy. This is a tragic misunderstanding. Your worth is not earned, it is inherent. Mistakes don't reduce it, successes don't increase it. Your value is constant, your abilities are what change. When you detach your identity from outcomes, fear dissolves. You start seeing mistakes as steps, not sentences. You stop trying to protect an image and start building real strength. Another source of your fear is comparison. You see people online performing flawlessly and believe they succeed without effort, without insecurity, without errors. But what you see is edited, curated, filtered. No one posts their ugly drafts, their miscalculations, their breakdowns, their attempts that fell apart. You see their final product and compare it to your first try. No wonder you feel behind. No wonder you fear errors. You think you're the only one making them. But everyone fails. Everyone. The difference is simple. The ones you admire are the ones who failed and kept going. They failed louder, failed faster, failed more often, failed more openly. And that's why they grew. The person who avoids mistakes avoids improvement. The person who embraces mistakes accelerates improvement. You fear being wrong because you think people will respect you less. The truth is the opposite. People respect courage, authenticity, movement, humility, the ability to stand back up. No one respects perfection because everyone knows it's fake. But everyone respects resilience because everyone recognizes its cost. Perfection isolates. Imperfection connects. The Stoics did not seek perfection. They sought excellence. And excellence requires practice. Practice requires failure. Failure requires courage. And courage requires understanding that mistakes are not dangers, but teachers. So how do you truly stop fearing mistakes? By doing the following. You normalize them. You accept that they are part of the process. You expose yourself to the discomfort of being imperfect. You lean into small errors intentionally. You speak without rehearsing every word. You take risks that stretch you. You experiment. You reflect. You adjust. You improve. You keep moving. And slowly, mistake by mistake, you become unshakable. You realize you can recover from anything. You realize failure is temporary. You realize self-trust grows with every imperfect attempt. And one day, you look at yourself and understand something life-changing. It was never mistakes that were holding you back. It was the fear of them. And fear loses its power the moment you refuse to obey it.